this moment. And success to me means no matter where I am, no matter what stage of my career or the up, down, middle ground, I am just so fucking present for it. Even if it's in the pain, I want to be present for the pain. I want to be present for the grief. I want to be present for the excitement. I want to be present for the pleasure. I want to be present for it all because I'm a human being living a human experience.
I think you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And so then there's some part of you that's almost like in your gut. You know what you're doing. He was literally driving me to like be like the main speaker on this panel. And I'm having like a midlife crisis about like, who am I? Like, why am I worthy? Why does anyone care? Like, what am I even doing? Like, this is so stupid. Like nothing has like quite worked out the way and then all of a sudden it's like, Selena, in 5 minutes, go. And it's like, I get up there and there's like 100 people and they're all sitting in the crowd. And I'm like, all right, this is how we're going to fucking do it, Hollywood. You know? Hi, thanks so much for tuning in on the Be the Train podcast. This podcast is all about building momentum, figuring out your career, figuring out how to deal with setbacks. And I'm super excited. I'm having all sorts of incredible people coming on. Today, we have Las Tres Sisters. So it's Virginia and Valeria and Marta, who all wrote, produced, and starred in their feature film Las Tres Sisters, but they also do all sorts of amazing things. They're very good friends of mine, and I'm super excited because we actually both had our movies in theaters at the same time. So we shared a lot of stuff on that journey. And so, yeah, I'm going to let them introduce themselves and then we'll delve into some fun questions.
Thank you so much for having us. You already, okay, Teddy.
Yeah, we guessed.
Teddy is, there we go. Thank you for introducing us. You already said so much. So I can just say that I'm Valeria Maldonado and I'm one of the 3 sisters, Las Tres Sisters. And you already said what we did. So that's what we did.
Hi, my name is Virginia Novello, actress, producer, writer, Las Tres Sisters. So excited to be here with you, Selena. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
And I'm fangirling because I'm reading your book. I love it. It's so good. Everybody should read her book. Buy it now.
Be the Train.
Be the Train. My name is Marta Mendez Cross.
So let's start with just a quick question. So what does being the train mean to you guys? Like, and it can be anything, but I'm just curious, like how you contextualize that in your own life or in your own career.
Okay. For me, Be the Train is creating something and bringing then people along in the journey. For me, it is, when there's no opportunities that you see that you can fit into, which was my case, because I think like where Latinas were not looked at the way that we looked at. And, I really so badly wanted to play all the Latina roles, even if that meant, maid or this or that. They were the roles that I would see, Latinas have. And I had a very thick accent and I just wouldn't have a space. And so I created the space. I started writing short films and playing with my accent in different ways, to having it, to not having it. And then just creating bigger community from there, and then meeting Marta. And then she was already creating a bunch of things. And we created, a show called Chichi and Tucci.
Oh.
And it was like in the 80s and it was so fun. And we shot a pilot for it. And then I met Valeria and she was like, oh, I kind of want to start she's like, I wish I could write. It was like, let's write. And that's how the short film came about. And then Marta was 9 months pregnant. So I invited Marta to direct it. And so for me is like having like a spark and intuition of like, I don't see myself fitting in a space. So I'm going to create that space and then bringing other people along with it. And then making that, train bigger and bigger and bigger. The more you open up, more wagons and then attaching the wagons to it. And then you just go and, the more wagons you attach, the faster you go, I feel like, instead of the opposite. They're the right wagons, right? They can have some attached wagons that, bring it down.
Yes.
But if you do pay attention and you have to let go to some wagons at certain points, but if you grab yourself into other wagons, it just goes faster, and so that to me, that's being train. Yeah.
I love that.
She's always profound when she speaks. I'm like, can I say something?
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's very weird. I just want to go choo choo.
Okay.
Is that I feel like that's like my train would be doing that, like choo choo. Come on, everybody, choo choo. Because for me, let's see, being the train is not waiting.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait at a terminal. I don't want to wait
Yeah.
for anybody. And so even when I'm waiting, like, cause we have to diversify. We have to have all sorts of things going. I do still audition. I still try to collaborate with other people who are doing their own projects. But for me, while I'm waiting, I'm also a train. I'm also going. I'm also doing. And that's just, I think that's also a personality because it's okay. Like I have friends who are very talented and all they want to do is just audition to gain their opportunities. And that's also a great way. And for me, I'm like, oh, and there's balance there, but I can't help it. Like I have to that's just my personality. Yeah. And I see that in you. I see that in my two partners. And it's one of those things where while I'm waiting, I have to always keep going. And because creativity is just flooding in, right? Yeah. There's always a story. There's always something that needs to be told. And through the years, one of the ways that I've been the train is I will go and I will literally reach out to someone on LinkedIn. I will get an opportunity with them. And then I will learn how to do it while I'm there. I may not know even how to drive the train that I'm on.
I love that. And I think that's actually I feel like that's really valuable what you're saying for two reasons. One, I love that you go on LinkedIn because I think that's just putting yourself out there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's such a big part of being the train is like, how do you put yourself out there even when it's uncomfortable, even if you don't know who you're talking to? But I also think that a big part of being the train and being in momentum is like, we actually have no idea where we're going. Yeah. Like, I don't think we ever know where we're going. I think we know where we're going, but we actually end up going somewhere completely different than we thought. Yeah. And so like, it's almost like really important to like accept and take on this idea of like just movement without having to have the directions solidified. Yeah. I don't think you're supposed to always know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Like I'm starting this like manifestation brand under my Be the Train. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I'm like exploring things with ChatGPT. I'm like, what does it look like to manufacture your own cardigans? Like, what does it look like? Where do I get patches? Like, how do I and I'm learning and I don't know where this journey is going to take me. Yeah. But I know that it was an inspired journey and that I did it in a moment that felt like instinctively inspired that this is something I need to do. Yeah. And so then I just started doing it. And I think in the doing it, you figure out what you're doing.
I was going to say that about like, cause a train has train tracks, right? And it like follows a train track. But I think we're also the train tracks. Like we're not just the train, we're the train tracks because we're building like new ways to go, new routes that sometimes we have absolutely no idea where they're going most of the time, 99.9% of the time. But then you're just kind of like laying down the tracks like ahead of you as you just figure out what you need to do next. And then I guess this is the direction we're going now.
Well, and the other thing, so I wanted to ask you guys because I feel like this is something that I know you guys really dealt with, that we dealt with too. And this is a big part of what my book is and what my philosophy is and something that I really admire in the creative spirit is like building your own momentum. So like if you can take me a little bit through your guys' journey of how you guys built your own momentum and built out this movie to be what it ended up being, because it was a huge film. It played in how many theaters? It was 177 theaters nationwide. I mean, you guys had a huge like campaign attached to it. Like it was just so enormous even though it was a good size film, it was for the size of the film, what you guys did was enormous, which was the same for us. And I'm so glad we got to do it together. But it was also just like so cool to see that it was like built out from a short. Yeah. And I'd love just some insight on where you felt like, where were there moments that you like built momentum or created opportunity? And where were there moments that were stagnant? And what did you do to kind of keep moving it? Because I think those are the things that as artists and creative, we're constantly struggling with.
Yeah, I love that question because our journey was 9 years, right? And so people think, oh, how did you build momentum? And momentum feels like something that you're constantly going up. like, like a mountain, like, oh, momentum is like you go to the next, like higher thing. But I just don't think that that's really like what a momentum is. A momentum is the ups and downs, the curves, like all arounds. And because, a down might take you to a specific space that's what you need to go to the next up, And so it's not, we look down upon the downs and really put the highs really up in a pedestal when I feel like it needs the both, the ups and the downs. And because it was 9 years, we have many of all of those.
Yeah.
Like so many of all of those. I don't know. We can quantify it. I know there was a specific moment for me personally, but we did the short, and within a year we had the short. Marta directed it. Valeria and I wrote it, and then we all produced it. And then came an amazing producer, Gonzalo, Ruiz de Velasco. And he really kind of believed in it before we did. And so he was like, this needs to be a feature. And so, we jumped kind of on the train.
I love that. Yes.
Call out. And on that. And we wrote for 6 years, and we didn't think that was going to happen, because you don't think that that's the amount of time that it's going to take you to do anything.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
If somebody would have told us like, oh, this is going to take 9 years, we probably would have been like, okay, no.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And it's funny because let's just pause there for 1 second. I think that's really interesting because so many things in life take so much longer than we think.
Yes.
And it's so funny to think that we're so impatient.
Yeah.
Like it's generational now. It's with social media. It's like, it's so hard to conceive of the time it's going to take to actually do the thing you want to do. But then the reality, back to what you're saying, is like, it wouldn't be as good if it hadn't taken that much time.
Yeah.
Right?
100% believe that.
Yeah.
We always say that we grew with our movie. It's like we were at a certain moment in our lives, and then for 6 years, a lot of things happened during those 6 years. I mean, we even rewrote some of the scenes right before we started shooting.
Yeah.
So up to all that point, there were so many personal stuff that changed the DNA of the movie, because we were the DNA of the movie. And so the more we changed, the deeper the script went. It really was like a broad comedy at the beginning. I recently found one of the first drafts that we had.
Oh, you did?
And it was extremely different. I mean, I cannot believe how different it was. And then I was like, oh man, it was not that good either. So true. True to be spoken. Like, now that I read it, I mean, in that moment, we thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you also have to have a certain type of delusion.
Yeah.
Like, in order to do this. Like, people don't talk about it, but the delusion that next year is going to be the year that we're making this movie. That was delusional. And we really truly believe that. And that was something that we were able to go to the next year and the year after that.
Why they kept you going.
They kept it. But the delusion that we were like, it was an amazing script, and it was like really funny. And like, we were like the most amazing, like, Hollywood needs us, or that we need Hollywood. And so we needed that delusion in order to actually get to the next place. Delusion is not bad, but I do want to say that we did get feedback from other people that reinforced that we were in the right path.
Yes.
That we did not go for 6 years just completely delusional with no feedback.
Yeah.
We did have feedback from different studios and Netflix and Sony and other places, and script doctors that were like, no, this is really solid. This is really good.
Yeah.
So I think, so many ups and downs. Definitely. Well, I want to let them talk first before I go to my deep, dark moments.
How about this? I'll ask this moment for everyone, because I think that that's actually one of the key things when you're in a creative space, or at least for myself. I think it's like, there are these moments where you're like, what am I doing? Like, is this going to work? Like, this much time, this much money, this much energy, this much, like, cause you invest so much of yourself. And obviously when you're telling a story like this, any personal story, there's so much of you that goes on to what you're doing. And I feel like, how do you get through those moments of like enormous self-doubt, where really all you can see is how it's not going to work or why it's not going to go anywhere. And like, were there moments like that for each of you? And like, how did you push through that regardless? Or like, what made you bounce back? Or what's like what's a tool? Like, what's a tool people can put in their toolbox when they're feeling that way?
As soon as you asked the question, I was like, oh yeah, I already know. Because it works with all my projects. anytime a door closed, and they were some big doors where we're like, oh, this is about to happen. And it's devastating when it doesn't. And you've already worked so hard. You go back to writing. You go back to whatever it is. If it's writing, or if you're an artist, what you're doing your clothing line or whatever it might be, go back to your creativity. And every time we went back to rewriting and going deeper, and what else could we do with this script? What else and it would move the energy of the story, and it would move literal doors opening for us. So anytime a door closes, go back to what you're trying to create and try to make it better. Go back to that energy that got you here in the first place.
Yeah.
Even though you feel like you don't want to write anymore or whatever it might be. And also, it doesn't have to be hard. I think the reason we were able to stick it out for 9 years is that we really had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of late nights of just creativity and laughing and absurdity. And we couldn't even stop when we were about to film. Like a week before filming, we were rewriting scenes because we're like, oh, this is funny.
Denny's our producer.
Yeah, stop sending updated pages. But it really is. It's like the tool for people is to go back to the creativity.
Yeah. And just sorry to say something to that. I agree. I think one of the biggest things for me in my life, or one of the biggest realizations that I've had in this, is like, you need to be able to play. Yeah. And when you stop, the playful energy is actually the energy that thrives and that's positive and that like brings movement.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's actually when we get stuck in the outcome that the whole thing goes on pause because we can't see beyond what we're doing. We're just trying to see the result. But the result is impossible for us to see. But if we can get back into like our play space where we're just enjoying each other's company and having fun and being creative, that's when like really yummy things come out.
Yeah. And I think also like in terms of, because it's going back to your creativity, and I was trying to think, because I definitely have in mind like one moment where I was just like, this is just never going to happen and I'm going to give up. And it's also going back to your community.
Yeah.
And I think it's been very helpful, at least for me, that there's 3 of us.
Yes.
And I know like you.
Selena's like, yes.
Like more of you.
Yeah, 2 more of me would be great.
I know. I'm like,
And you also
replicate. No,
you have Dan as well, right? So
yeah,
you have
I do.
You have someone that you get to share life with.
Yes.
And creativity with.
Yes.
And produce. And so for me, I mean, I think there was probably one moment where the 3 of us at the same time were like, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
But there was just, it's always so helpful to have. And I always say that Virginia says this a lot to me and I really love it, more about my romantic life. But when I'm like, I don't believe it anymore. Like, I don't believe that it's going to happen. Then she goes, well, I'll believe for you.
Oh,
and so I
love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that like in a pocket somewhere and I'm going to keep that because I love that. That's a really nice thing to have someone believe for you.
Yes, and I think
until you can believe again.
Exactly. Until you're like, you've rested, you're like, okay, and then the spark comes back.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now I want to do it again. But then to have like a community that's supporting you and believing while you can't believe, I think that's
really huge. So in that moment, so let's talk about that moment. There was a moment where all 3 of you were like, what are we doing? Like, how do, like, this is not working. Like, what did that kind of stagnation look like, and how long did it take to like come back to life and be like, nope, let's give it another shot?
Yeah.
Thinking of the same moment.
Well, we'll see. I'm about to say it.
I know what brought us back.
We'll see. We'll see if we're on the same page.
Let's see if we have
made different, because we had many times where they were like, okay, opening the door sort of, but closing. But it was like the beginning or maybe year 3 or 4. And it's a little bit disappointing, but we still looked at it from the perspective of like, oh, we're getting closer though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just like, oh, we're getting closer. I think the moment that I'm thinking about is when we almost thought this is going to happen because somebody was really excited and said, we're making your movie.
Well, we had funding.
Yeah. And it was like very, very excited. We were like, oh, we're going to make this. And then it ended up not happening.
Yeah.
And for many different reasons, but that felt to me and like personally, I can jump back pretty quickly from like to the next, like, let's go. Let's keep, like, I can pretty fast, like, my brain kind of works that way. Like, I'll allow myself to feel it, but I won't get stuck in the feeling. And it felt different that time around.
Yeah.
It felt like I'm done.
Yeah.
It felt like I can't do this any longer.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship. You know, and I don't even know like an abusive per se, but you know, when you're like trying so hard in your relationship and like, you know, it's just not working out.
Yeah.
You're like, to what point you say enough?
Well, and like also like, what's my worth? Like, am I degrading myself?
Right.
Putting all this like energy and time and like my worthiness and my soul onto this thing.
You know, and also like, there's a part of like, you know, that part of delusion that I was talking about.
Yeah.
It is like, when does I become too delusional?
Yeah.
And I am not getting myself into the reality of things. And then at some point I have to land in reality at some moment.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, how many more years am I willing to give to this project?
Yeah.
And at that point it was like 7 or something. And I was like, I don't think I can do it anymore. And I remember a FaceTime that I had with them and I was crying and I said, you guys, I'm not bouncing back from this very fast.
Yeah.
I don't think I can. But it also gave me this momentum where I said, I put myself into a deadline, which I have never done, to put the deadline into this movie. And I said, if we're not shooting by March next year, I am
It's
done.
October.
And
I said,
and were you shooting by March next year? Wait, this is so exciting. Wait, I just want to say this because I have to shout myself out because I literally have in my book, this is one of the things that I say in one of my chapters is that you have to put a deadline and you have to you have to know you're setting the deadline and you mean your deadline and whatever happens, you're going to meet your deadline. Yeah. And I think that what that does is it puts like a fire inside of you because once you say it out loud, you say it to other people and then it's like the stakes go up so much if you don't meet your deadline and you kind of start to operate from this different place, which is like, there is no way I'm not hitting this deadline because then I'm not doing it. Yeah. But so I love that. It's so cool.
We didn't film it by March, but we were gonna shoot it by March.
We were funded.
We were funded by March, for sure. We got funded by like the beginning of the year. But I'm gonna say to your point, if it's your first project, I feel like give yourself the little elasticity to explore because a lot of this 9 years, it was because we didn't know much.
Yeah.
So we were learning in this process.
Yeah, of course.
Now the next project that we do, it's a different story
It's be
because now we know more.
Yeah.
Right? Like before we didn't know how do we pitch this, like we didn't have access to a lot of the things that we have access now. We didn't know the people that we know. We didn't know how to do the things that we did.
Of course.
It was kind of like a schooling, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that we didn't put a deadline then.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where we're like, the script is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But like somebody wanted to do it already. We are getting signs everywhere that this is good, that this is where we need to go. And if we don't make it by freaking this time, I cannot put more time into this shit. Like I am so fucking done. I even said, if we have to grab our iPhones and shoot this movie on our fucking iPhones and go to Guadalajara and walk a fucking pilgrimage in order for us to do this, we'll do that.
Well, so I agree with you. And I feel like to me, the thing is, I do agree on flexibility. Yeah. So it's not that like when I'm saying have a deadline, I think you're allowed to change your deadline. Sure. Yeah. But I think that you need to have a framework because that framework helps you figure out what you're doing. And sometimes even that deadline is doing something else. So like sometimes you set yourself a deadline to make, let's say this movie, but instead what you do is you make a short that helps you set up for the whatever. Cause I think there is a lot that's out of your control. Yeah. There's so much that's out of your control. And so I guess what I'm trying to help other people figure out is what can we put back into our control? Yeah. Like how can we empower ourselves? Like when so much I'm not like able to do anything about, like what's available to me that I can do so that I'm like still in motion and creating something and moving myself in the right direction. And I feel like you guys from making the short to sharing the short to finding the right people to figuring out you want it to be a feature to writing the feature, like all of those things are like steps in the process to getting you to where you end.
And we did have those deadlines. We did have deadlines of writing.
She's our deadline. Our deadline maker. She's very good. She's the reason the train has like stations to get to because she is absolutely good at setting those goals. And like she says them to me. She's like, hey, I have a deadline for myself for this. I want to let you know so you can hold me accountable to it. Yeah. And they do work. And that's why we work really well together because we all have our different strengths. But we also like, I did want to point out during that, when we had that big moment where we couldn't keep going.
Are we thinking about what that was the same moment?
The same moment. I was thinking the same moment, but I did want to do a shout out to Gonzalo Ruiz de Velasco because we had been pulling so much everything, the creativity, even trying to find the funding. And he was our fourth partner in the development of the film, and he brought the funding.
Yeah.
And that's what, when we couldn't keep going, he came in and said, we're going.
It was also like a collaborative effort, I feel, with like even with the universe, because something happened where Virginia said, it has to be by March. And so we were like, okay. And so we started to do that. But then the script was written for Querétaro, which is where I'm from.
Yeah.
And there was the submission for Film en Jalisco. And so I think it was also Virginia who was like, let's rewrite this for Jalisco. And try and get money. So then we rewrote it for Jalisco, which gave us a creative outlet to, like a deadline to be like, well, we need to now rewrite this for this. We did not get Film en Jalisco.
Yeah.
But with the universe, Gonzalo, after he'd been for 6 years trying to find money, he found the money in Jalisco.
Yeah.
By coincidence.
Yeah.
So, and the script was already ready.
It was ready for Jalisco.
Yeah.
That's so cool and interesting. And it's funny because, again, I mean, different but similar so the way we got into 250 theaters was through this cold email that we sent on LinkedIn through this guy who used to be the CEO of the National Association of Theater Owners. But what was really interesting about that kind of reminds me of what you're saying, is we built, and this was actually Dan's idea, a plan for our entire marketing campaign. We had already built that plan.
Wow.
So we were like, we're going to go to influencers. We're going to go to theaters. We're going to go to brands. We're going to create partnerships. We're going to eventize. We're going to give things away. We're going to create a movement around what we're doing that goes beyond the film. Mm-hmm. We want to create an opportunity for people to be talking about what we're doing with the film. And that was an idea that he came up with before we had even messaged this guy. Mm-hmm. So then by the time, and by the way, this conversation with this guy and his team ended up taking like 7 months.
Yeah.
Which again, back to what you were saying, it's like, we did not expect it to take 7 months. Like, we thought this would be like an easy phone call. We'd pitch them. They'd love us. And then we'd work together. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but what was interesting about it was that in those 7 months, we were building out this other plan.
Yeah.
So that by the time we were sitting in a room and the pitch got real serious, we already had brand partners. We had already eventized a screening. We had already shot an event. We had already given away a trip to Mexico. So like these people were looking at us going, oh shit, like they're serious and they're doing it.
Yeah.
So like they're probably a good movie and a solid, partnership to have because they're going to do this thing anyway, and had we not been already in motion, I think we would have been in a different, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, if it wasn't already for Jalisco, they might have been like, yeah, we want to invest in something in Jalisco. You know what I mean? Like the universe kind of takes you down this weird road. How would you define, when you were a little kid, how would you have defined success, and how do you define it now? Has it changed or is it similar?
I had this, I don't know if this isn't exactly the answer, but I was just thinking about this right now. So when I was outside, I had this image when I was a little girl about living in New York City and being on Broadway. And the image that was in my head, it wasn't like me on Broadway. It was me walking to rehearsal, walking to the show, and having a coffee in my hand. With like my bag, with like, my change, like, and it was this like energy of me just doing what I loved. But it was the in-between moment. And now, like even right now, I was a little bit early, so I walked down and I got a matcha, no longer coffee, and a protein smoothie. And as I was like walking back, I was like, I made it my life. It's different. It's not New York. It's not Broadway. It's LA. It's Hollywood. But it happens all the time, or I'll be like walking, sometimes to auditions, sometimes downtown. Yeah. And that feels, I'm like, oh, here I am. Like, I got my drink and I got my thing. And so it's different, but those in-between moments of knowing that I'm walking towards something that I love.
Yeah.
And, and I am a creator and I am an actress. I think that it changed, but it's like in the essence, I think little Valeria would be like super, super excited.
And so do you feel now, and I love this, do you feel now like you feel successful, or you have moments where you feel that and you see that? Or, because again, I think it's just such an interesting industry where
Success is interesting.
yeah,
I think for me, feeling successful is a wave. It's also like it's an up and down. Or more, it's like it's a spiral
okay,
because it's like an upward spiral. So like with an upward spiral, you'll revisit the same place again. So you can revisit the feeling of being a failure.
Yeah.
You can revisit like the feeling of I'm on top of the world, but you're growing.
Yeah.
And so I think I have moments, like I've had moments with the movie where I'm like, I am so successful. We are so successful. And it can literally be a week later and I'm like, nope, shit, I'm not successful.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
there is a groundwork. And
Yeah.
there's a groundwork where I can see that I have been growing
Yeah.
throughout all of these years. So I'm like, okay, I might have moments where I feel super successful and I might have moments where I feel like I'm so far. So not so far, like so far from where I want to be. But I can see that there's this, this continuous growth.
So it's funny because I was having this conversation with someone the other day and I feel very similar. And it's something I struggle with a lot because I have moments where I feel really successful. And then I have moments where I feel so far from what I think success would look like. But my 13-year-old self wouldn't believe what I've done. Like she wouldn't believe it. But I was talking to a friend the other day and I was kind of talking about this topic and they were like, well, what was your life like 5 years ago? Like, has there been any growth or any change?
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like that just blew my mind because 5 years ago, which is nothing, feels like a lifetime ago in terms of what I've been able to do and how I've grown and what I've learned and who I am. And it's like, I mean, my son wasn't even born 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I hadn't even sold my last movie to HBO. I made that and thought, the fuck did we just make? Like, what's going to happen? Like the whole world was on pause. It was COVID. Like, it's just crazy. But the point is though that I love, it's interesting being able to actually look back and go, wait, what's happened since?
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys tell me.
I love that.
And for me, it has changed enormously, the meaning of what success is. Of course, when I was a child or a teenager, by 27, I was going to be married with kids and had won an Oscar. That was success in my head. And the reason why it has changed immensely is because I attribute my success into my inner life. That's just kind of what it is. It's like how much pleasure I get in my life, whether it's having a matcha, having this conversation, having time with my husband, little trips, going to the beach, moments that I like really enjoy my daily life. I had been before hustling to the point where I didn't see these moments anymore. Yeah. Like I was not able to see and appreciate and like really take those in. And even though I was doing so much that to the outside eye might look like I was pretty successful in what I was doing or trying to do, I wasn't enjoying it at all. And that to me, and I meet a lot of people like that, where they're doing a million things, but they're so dissociated from their life and they're so dissociated from their relationships. And they might look successful because I admire them at a certain point, and then I meet them and I'm like, oh man, they're just so not present for it at all, for anything. And when I understood that, because I had like so many health problems with like cortisol and like the way that I like attack the world, I didn't want to be that. And so right now, success for me, what it means is that I get to enjoy wherever I am at.
Yeah.
Like, and truly, truly be present for it.
I love
like if it's a movie, I really wanted to be present for like, oh my God, we're in like the big screen, and then there were conversations that were happening. It's like, how much money are we making? That will take me out of it. And I'm like, no, right now I get to enjoy this moment where my movie is in the movie freaking theaters.
Yeah.
That where I get to walk on this carpet, like moments where I can like pull back and we're like pulling the red carpet, us with the lights and like a lot. And like, I'm like, I enjoy so many moments. It was the other day that me and my husband were having a moment that I can't share in this space, but it was not sexual, but it was like, so.
Can we not share?
It's a really weird moment that me and him have. And I looked at him and I was like, if you ever die or if we ever break up, these are the moment that I'm going to miss. The little weird, little tiny weird things that nobody fucking knows. Not the Instagram picture, not the Instagram reel, but this moment. And success to me means no matter where I am, no matter what stage of my career or the up, down, middle ground, I am just so fucking present for it. Even if it's in the pain, I want to be present for the pain. I want to be present for the grief. I want to be present for the excitement. I want to be present for the pleasure. I want to be present for it all because I'm a human being living a human experience.
Yeah.
I can't miss it just because I want to achieve something. And then all of a sudden I die and I missed my human experience.
Yeah.
So that is what success is to me. And that's what I strive the most to. And that's where I do the most work in, doing that. And so,
well, I love that. And I think it's interesting because I feel like I had a very similar experience to you. I also was driving myself like beyond my own capacity and just like so in the doing that I wasn't being and I wasn't playing and I wasn't enjoying myself anymore. And I think that was like a big moment for me that shifted everything. I actually started having panic attacks. I had to get medication and it got really bad, but it was because I was so focused on the result that I stopped being able to be in the moment. And strangely enough, having kids helped me, which was surprising. But I think
it gets you out of your own head, right?
And you have to be present, right? Yeah. Like you have to be present because this little thing is going to die if you're not there. And so, but I think that's one of the biggest things I think I work on that I'm still working on and I'm not perfect at, but when I'm doing it well, it feels so good to really be where I am, wherever I am. And then there's moments where I know I'm still not doing it well. And I'm like, this is the part I really want to work on the most because it's so hard, when you have so many buckets of your life to like really fully be in each bucket and enjoy it. And there's so much joy. Yeah. And it's so easy to get stuck in what didn't work or what's not the way you wanted or it didn't go the way you envisioned. Right. There's a lot of that, but you don't have to get stuck in that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Anyway, Martha, tell me.
Yes. I'm going to church right now. I'm like,
so much. I can cancel my therapy session.
I know. 3:00 for me today. I was like, wait a second. I don't need it anymore. The question was about your 5-year-old. I'm sorry, I've been so sucked into this 5-year-old self.
You're the version of success, what your like, let's say 13-year-old would have said success is and what you think success is now.
I mean, wow. That's a hard one because I feel like I have gone through so many transitions in my life. I spent some time with my family in Costa Rica when I was very little, like from 5.5 to 7. And I was surrounded by my grandmother who wanted to be a comedic actress. Like that would have been her dream. She would write plays in grocery store parking lots to raise money for her elementary school class and make her 8 kids perform all the roles. And so when I was there, like she and I would do a lot of like that kind of play together where I would perform and she would give me things to say, like I was trying to learn Spanish at the time because I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. And then a lot of my family members who were around me, they were all artists in some way. We had congueras, we had jazz musicians, we had clowns, we had flamenco dancers, we had actors. And so I was around it. So it was just sort of part of life. And it was just something that I feel like I always kind of did on the side because it filled me. So like when I was 9, I booked my first play. I was actually just an extra. I just want to be a part of it. My teacher was like, you should go do this. And I was in Germany at the time. And I was in the audience and the girl who was the lead in the play, the director was trying to get her to sing and she got scared. And he's like, does anybody want to do this role? And I was like, me. And so I go in, he's like, well, let's see if you can sing. And then I sang, he's like, oh, you can sing. Okay. And so then I ended up doing this role. And I feel like I've just always sort of landed into acting in that way or creativity in that way. Like I'd write plays for my families for like birthdays and holidays. I was always writing. So I didn't see like success in this industry. It wasn't in my mind when I was younger.
Like a hobby.
It was like it was just a part of me. It's like you had to have creativity because that's part of your joy.
Yeah.
But, I think it was when I was in college and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I went to school for public relations and Latin American media studies, and I thought I might do politics. I wasn't sure. And then I booked the lead in a musical, and that person, they had written off Broadway from New York, and they were living in Austin at the time. And he goes, you need to go to New York. You need to be an actress. You need to do this. I was like, and then as I continued, I just sort of kept going for this joy and this spark, and ended up in LA. And so, but one of the things that I did struggle with in my life when my younger self was self-esteem. And feeling like I was deserving or worthy enough to be somewhere. And so for many years, I have struggled with that. I would say even coming to LA and going into rooms and auditioning, and I probably could have booked many roles if I just could have had the confidence. Like I had the training, I had the talent, I was blowing people away and like on a stage or in a class, they're like, wow. But I'd get into a room and I would freeze a bit. I had performance anxiety. And I would say, my 13-year-old self just wanted to be liked, just wanted to be, seen and liked and be a part of something, just wanted friends. And now I feel good when I walk into a room. Yeah. I feel like I should be there. I feel talented. I feel ready. I feel like that part of me who was always trying to prove, which I will always be that person because that's who I am, but I'm more comfortable. My self-esteem, I've worked many years on my self-esteem and on my confidence through therapy, through creating films to like that helps my confidence quite a bit. So I think my 13-year-old self would be like, wow, you were courageous enough to do that?
Yeah.
Wow, you're doing that? You did it. So I think she would be really quite amazed and blown away. It would be beyond her wildest dreams where I'm at right now.
Well, I love that. And it's funny because, it's the other day I was talking to, I was going to be on a panel, and I have these moments a lot, kind of like the spiral. Yeah. So I have these moments a lot where like I can feel really good. And then I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like when is this all going to work the way I thought it would? Like, there's just all this like, and it's like, it's self-talk, but it's like negative self-talk, but it's also funny because I think you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And so then there's some part of you that's almost like in your gut, you know what you're doing. And me and my husband were joking that it felt a little bit like a episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, because I was like, he was literally driving me to like be like the main speaker on this panel, and I'm having like a midlife crisis about like, who am I? Like, why am I worthy? Why does anyone care? Like, what am I even doing? Like, this is so stupid. Like, nothing has like quite worked out the way and then all of a sudden it's like, Selena, in 5 minutes, go. And it's like, I get up there and there's like 100 people and they're all sitting in the crowd, and I'm like, all right, this is how we're gonna fucking do it, Hollywood. And then like I walk out and Dan's like, you fucking crushed that. Like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? And I'm like, but I think that what's interesting to me that I'm starting to realize now is maybe those thoughts never go away. Yeah. Like maybe feeling that way to some degree never goes away. And that doesn't mean that like, it's like, maybe a couple years ago, I wouldn't have been able to get on the stage. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like maybe 10 years ago in that same moment, I would have been like, I can't do this. Yeah. Whereas like now I'm like, fuck it, I can do this. Like, Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I love what you're saying. And I love that. That's why I love watching things like, when I was a kid, I used to watch Inside the Actors Studio. Yeah. And right now, all the table, conversations that actors were having, because we looked up to these people, they're like winning Oscars, winning awards, like all things. And then to hear them say, oh no, I feel like I don't have, so, I'm scared to death. Like I had a panic attack before I did the scene. Yeah. Like I feel like I'm not going to be able to do it. And you're like, oh, okay. Like to your point, it might never go away, and so it might never go away. And so making friends with it instead of pushing it away. Yeah. To me, I have found that about feelings or moments in life, it's like when like a current, if I let myself be into the current, it will take me out easier than if I fight or pretend that doesn't exist, that's why I feel like fake positivism, it's dangerous because you're trying to ignore the thing that it is. And you can say things like, okay, I feel this way and I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm
Exactly.
feeling this way right now, but I'm going to show up the fuck up and I'm going to kill this shit. I'm going to do it anyway, you know, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
I actually just had this happen last week, and they know about it. I used to also have performance anxiety, and I would get really nervous at auditions. And now it's self-taping, which helps because you don't actually have people staring at you. But I had not had a moment where I felt like I could not do it in years.
Yeah.
Like I'd sometimes be like, "Oh, that's fine. It wasn't great," or at the
Yeah.
time, I think I killed it, and maybe the casting directors don't agree. But you know, I felt like confident, and for the first time in years, I was going through something personal and emotional. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I could, and I had to stop. Like I was self-taping, and then I was like, because I wasn't allowing myself to go into the current, and I was just like, no, it's okay, I can power through, I'll use it, I'll blah blah blah, and I actually had to stop, and I had to cry,
Yeah.
and I had to like deal with what was actually happening to me,
Yeah.
and texted my manager, and I was like, listen, I can send you a really crappy audition right now,
Yeah.
or I can send you a good one over the weekend.
Yeah.
And he was like, good one over the weekend.
Great.
I was like, great. And then because I was able to go through all of it, then a couple of days later, I went up and I was able to like show up. And
Yeah.
so which usually I'd be like, no, you have to learn how to like.
No, but I love this. I think that's actually really good advice. And again, I think part of why I'm doing this podcast, because I think we're all in this place where we're a little confused and the world is changing a lot and things are different. And it's like, what can we put in our toolkit? How can we help ourselves in like an ever evolving, changing, creative economy that like, I don't think we all even fully understand, but what are like some tools or some ways to help ourselves out? And I think that that's actually really right. I think there's been a lot of moments in my life where if I had taken a moment to myself, I would have dealt with the situation a lot better.
Yeah.
Or if I did take a moment to myself, I came back and was able to handle it a lot better. And I think that we're kind of told to just kind of like push through and like, just like, you know, boss women, just keep it going. I was like, no, like we don't have to like crack and like break ourselves to like be functional. Like we are allowed.
Yeah, that's our power. As women, our power is to be able to somatize and feel the feelings. So then we can come in from a different space.
Yeah.
The problem is when we're trying to attack our life and our businesses like in the masculine.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work for our body. It's not going to work for our mental health. It's not going to work in general. It's not going to work with our self-worth, because if we keep attaching our self-worth to something outside of ourselves that keeps changing, then your self-worth is always going to keep changing.
Of course. And then,
and
then it's never yourself.
And it is never yourself, you know, because if it's the industry changes. If it's your followers, that changes. The algorithm change. The world, it's like a disaster. So you cannot hold on to anything outside of yourself for that. And I feel like once you understand that the self-worth is kind of from within, and then you can hold on to yourself in a very specific place, and you start treating yourself in a different way.
Yeah.
Right. Then you start like, okay, I'm going to take a moment, not only because I'm going to react differently, because my self-worth allows me to take a moment for myself, because I am worth this moment.
Yeah.
Because I am worth this rest.
Yes.
Because I am worth this reaction. I am worth this. And so I'm going to take it because it's for me, because I know when it is for me and my self-worth allows me to, then the world outside of myself is going to reflect that. But if I keep just like attaching is like, oh, because of this, or I will do it because of my husband. No, I will do it because I love myself. I will do it because I know the stake that I am putting my life in. If I don't. And if I keep putting it outside of myself, it crumbles.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to crumble, you know, it's like the industry is ever changing. And right now everything is changing so fast. Like to your point, nobody knows what next step to take. Yeah. So if we keep just holding on to like, okay, maybe this and maybe this other thing, and that keeps crumbling, we're going to keep falling into not a really nice place, you know? And so if I just hold it into with myself, I can be like, okay, that fell. Okay, moving on. Like, let's see what other thing I can put my creativity into, because we're creatives. We're going to create no matter what the state of the industry is. And like, that's one of the things that I love about you too, that you're like, it doesn't freaking matter what the state of, and all of us came into with our movies in a moment where the industry is like, what's happening?
Yeah, everyone's like moving out of Los Angeles, like leaving the industry. I know it is,
you know,
crazy.
but the thing is, like, we didn't allow that to defeat us.
No,
we're like, we're gonna keep creating.
Well, and it's funny. So this is something actually that I've been really ingraining in my son, and it's really funny that you're saying it. But I constantly tell him when he's having a hard time, I'm like, but what are we? And he goes, problem solvers. Right. And so, and I'm telling him all the time, I'm like, it's okay because you're a problem solver. That doesn't mean that you can't be mad. That doesn't mean that you can't be sad. And that doesn't mean that like you're allowed to feel everything you want to feel, but also know that your superpower is that you're a problem solver. There's a lot of different ways to solve this problem. And I think that that's something as creatives that we have to kind of keep in our toolbox. It's like, it might not always go the way we want. It might not end up the way we thought, but there is solutions to different problems if we can see ourselves as problem solvers and keep getting creative and think outside the box about how we do things.
You're such a problem solver. Now that you're saying it, I'm like, oh my God, yes, I love that description. Like, I feel like you just grab whatever it is and you like alchemize it and like make it into something amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so do you guys. I admire you guys so much. Well, last question, and then we have to hop off because we're running out of time. But what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is looking to break into this industry or who's already in it, but is trying to get to their next level? Like what, and it doesn't have to be just, it doesn't have to be career. It's just like one thing you wish you knew that would have helped you on your journey, or a toolkit, a little toolkit.
A little tool.
Not a whole kit. We don't have
A whole kit.
It can be one tool.
All the kit.
You know, I know people get a lot, you know, they use friends, they use community. Some people use life coaches. I use therapy. So I would say, find your form of working out whatever it is that you need to work out on your journey to get to that next level. Right now I switched from, I'm doing talk therapy, but I just switched to EMDR because I just directed a short film about something that traumatic that happened to me. And I decided, oh, let me move into EMDR to work through this. And it's actually opening up even more for me. I just heard Miley Cyrus say on an interview that she got through her stage fright by doing EMDR, you know, 'cause she had stage fright for many years. And so I think that you should either, whether it's your support group or it's a life coach, or if it's a teacher, get somebody who helps you through those blocks so you can get to that next level.
I think, and I'm saying this to myself because I kind of been through like a couple weeks of not feeling a lot of joy. And so I think finding the little things that make you joyful. Speaking of therapy, my therapist recommended, not now, but like a couple months ago, she was like, just dance every day.
I've been seeing you dance. Yeah. And you know what? It's been bringing me joy.
And that's what I'm
There you go. Your dances have been great. So you've been spreading joy as you're trying to find your own joy. How beautiful is that?
Yes. And those little moments, you know, and even if you are in the industry and you're auditioning or you're interviewing or whatever, like just finding what makes you joyful in that moment.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so many tools. How many tools do I have? I have so many tools. I needed all those tools, you know, it's like they came out of necessity for me. And so, you know, finding pleasure, which is joy, I put it as pleasure because that's how I relate to. I do a lot of meditation, breathing and movement. So a lot of breath movement that gets me back into my body. A lot of the things that I have to do is coming back into my body. Gets me out of my head. I need things that disconnect me from my head and allow me to go into my body because I feel like a lot of my intuition, it's there. Another tool is that I do dates with myself.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
I go out and I have a whole day where I'd like take myself to a delicious brunch in Topanga Canyon. And then I go to the beach and I swim in the ocean and then I meditate. And I remember my mom being like, look at you in your life. And I said, you know, to me, this is also productivity.
Yeah.
This is me just creating a space where I can hold more, where I can expand more,
yeah,
where I can enjoy more.
Yeah.
And so I have to give myself those times. People say, don't have time. I don't have time to do this and that.
No, it's
look
priorities.
at your phone.
It's priorities.
Yes. And also look at your phone and how much time you're spending on social media. And then you'll tell me after if you don't have time for
100%. And by the way, I actually really love that because I think both me and my husband would really get a lot from having dates with ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, and you have time for everything. You just have to prioritize where you put your time. Yeah. And so I think that we're constantly struggling to find time, but the reality is because we're not prioritizing it the way we need to.
Yeah. And you can, you know, you just make yourself like, I have a billion things to do on a daily basis. You know, I have a podcast, I have clients, I have the films, I do a lot of the things, but then my priority is once a week. I need to spend that time with myself. I enjoy that ice cream on the beach and it's like glorious and it feeds me so much.
Yeah.
To the point that I can show up in the world in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much. This is the Be the Train podcast. Follow us and let us know what you think. And also, if you guys could just tell us really quickly your social media handles so everyone can follow you guys and all the amazing things you're doing.
Yes. Well, and also buy the book. If
Yes.
you haven't bought the book already, buy the book. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I'm Valeria Maldonado, so you can find me at Vale Maldon, and you can find our movie at Las Tres Sisters Movie.
My Instagram handle is Virginia Novello with Novello. I also teach Tantra and sexuality, so you can find me at sacred_alchemia.
And I am Marta Medes Cross, and that's at Marta M. Cross.
And you should all watch Las Tres Sisters. It's out on Apple and it's also out on Amazon. And it's a really amazing.
Rent it. It's a cup of coffee. And then you really, really help us spread the world into a movie that took 9 years. So you better go and watch it. Yes.
A lot of fun.
It's really fun. It's a really good movie.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, girls.